Hi everyone, it's Angela from Mid-Modern Mama, and today I'm going to show you how to make an art journal out of catalogs. I always have tons of catalogs around my house like this, and a couple of weeks ago I was trying to figure out what I could do with them, how could I recycle them, how could I reuse them, and I came up with an art journal. I do a lot of art journaling. I've been doing altered book journaling, that kind of thing, and this is a cheap, in fact, pretty much free, and easy way to create an art journal out of stuff that arrives at your house, if you're like me, all the time, whether I want them or not. So, the materials you'll need to make an art journal like this: you will need some catalogs like this. You're gonna need some glue, and I have two recommendations for you. You can go one of two ways with this. And it's helpful actually to have both of them. I like Super 77 spray adhesive from 3M. It is very sticky, it's very strong, it's very thin. It doesn't make paper wrinkle very much because it doesn't have a lot of moisture in it, which I find very helpful. However, you need to be able to work outside, and I would recommend that you wear a mask because of course you don't want glue in your lungs, which is what happens. But definitely at a bare minimum work outside. And if you're working outside, you'll want to have a piece of cardboard or something to use as a shield under your paper as you're gluing, because this will make everything sticky. There's lots of overspray with this, so think about that. If you don't want to use Super 77, or in addition to Super 77, you can also use a really good glue stick, and I like Yoo-hoo glue sticks, but any glue stick will work. So you'll need those. You'll need some scissors. You'll need some good strong tape, and I use this clear shipping tape. I think this is really nice, but you could use duct tape, you could use decorative duct tape, you could use any kind of packing tape that you have around. That would be completely fine too. And then you'll need some wrapping paper and some ephemera, anything that you like to do collage with, and some Mod Podge. And that is all to create a cover. You could do other media on the cover too, but you will definitely want some Mod Podge in the end to make the cover more stable and secure. That I think is pretty critical to the success of this project. But if you do something else and you have great success, let me know. I'm very curious. Find catalogs that are roughly the same size. And your tolerance for this, that totally depends on you and how you feel about having your pages line up. And one of the things you could do is prepare a bunch of catalogs if you don't have any that are the same size, or they're only roughly the same size and this kind of thing bothers you. You can get this all prepared, do all the gluing and the taping, and before you do any artwork, take it to FedEx or Kinko's or a print shop of some kind, and they'll have a huge paper cutter called a guillotine. And you can ask them to trim all the pages. It would cost maybe $1 per cut. Some places they'll even do it for free. But have them trim all the pages to the same length. If for example, the height isn't quite the same or the page edge isn't quite the same, and that's something that bothers you. On this one, I had one catalog that's not quite the same as the others, and I used 3 catalogs for this book. I actually feel like that's probably too many. I think 2 is probably about the right number, but you know, it's up to you. And if I was really fastidious, I might go and have them cut off these pages, but I have already started to work in here, and actually the kind of jaggedness it just kind of makes it chunkier. So it doesn't bother me, but it might bother you. So that's up to you. So anyway, choose your catalogs so that they are the size that you want. You could stick a small catalog in the middle of a couple of larger catalogs and do it this way. and then you've got these kind of fun small pages in the middle. That's up to you. So once you have those catalogs and you've decided, so let's say we're going to use this one, and we're going to use, let's see. Maybe these two. Maybe those two. We'll use those two and get those started. So once you've got your catalogs all together and you're ready to start gluing. Now, I can't show you. I do this whole process myself with Super 77, but it is too sticky for me to have a camera outside to use it, and too messy, and I don't have an assistant here to help me. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do using a glue stick. Again, either one would be completely fine for this. It just is your preference and how you like to work. But the paper in a catalog is thin. It's meant to be thrown away. And I should say, it's meant to be recycled. Please make sure you recycle yours. So what we're going to do is go through and glue every other page together so that in your art journal, your pages are 2 pieces of paper thick. If you do a lot of collage and you work with a lot of other paper and adding more paper to it, you might just want to use 1 piece of paper. But I do a lot of collage, and I think I like 2 pieces better. That heft is better and it feels more stable, and this paper really tears very easily. So I think 2 pages is, for me, the better choice. So what I do is just, when I'm using Super 77, I spray one side of the page. And in this case, with glue stick, I'm just going to glue stick one page. And then, really carefully so I don't get any wrinkles, just kind of roll it across and smooth it out. And if you're using glue stick, because glue stick has more moisture in it, you're going to end up with these small little bubbles. You could use a brayer and run a brayer over that and really smooth them out. But for the most part, it's just because the paper's stretching a little bit with the moisture, and it's going to smooth out again when it's dry. So then I skip this. That's going to be facing pages, and we go again. And glue and glue and glue. Part of the reason I like to use Super 77 for this is it's a little bit faster, but it's also messy. So you have to decide what you're gonna do. Be sure you're doing it on a day where maybe there's just the slightest breeze. You don't want to do it on a windy day if you're doing it outside with Super 77, because your pages will flap all over the place and get stuck to each other. So see, this is much thicker and a little more stable than this is. And so you would go through and do the entire catalog this way, so that you end up with basically half the number of pages that you had to begin with. So once you have 2 catalogs or 3 catalogs that are glued like this and all the pages are prepared, then you're going to glue the catalogs to each other. And to do this, again, if you're using Super 77, you're going to spray the back of one and the front of the other, and then you're going to stick them together. If you are using glue stick, then you're just going to glue. Put glue on both the back of one and on the front of the other, just like this. And then stick them together. And just be sure that the spines are lined up nicely and that the bottoms are lined up nicely or the tops are lined up nicely somewhere in there. And again, if this kind of gap would bother you, take it and have it cut off somewhere so that you have nice even edges. There's no shame in that. I think this would bother me. A smaller gap might not, but that big would probably bother me. And now we need to deal with the spine itself. So catalogs are held together with 2, maybe 3 staples, and that's what's going to hold the pages together. But we need to make that spine a little stronger. So this is where the tape comes in. And I use probably 3 pieces of tape. 1, 2, 3. And again, you could use duct tape, you can use decorative duct tape, you can use whatever it is that you want to use for this. I use clear tape because it just disappears. Now we are ready to go. So in order to make this really structurally stable and truly ready, and here's one that I've already done. This has all of the pages glued together with Super 77. I've already done the spine. Then the next step that I would do is take some wrapping paper and take a sheet of wrapping paper. I have this piece that's a map of Rome. And if you're using Super 77, take your book outside, or if you're using glue stick, take your book, open it up flat like this, and put glue all across here, everywhere across here, a really good strong layer of glue. And then very carefully, and I would probably trim this paper before I did it, roll this across and get it nice and secure on there. And then you can trim up the edges if they need trimming, so that you have a layer of wrapping paper that covers the cover. That's another layer, giving it a little more strength and a little more stability. Beyond that, if you're interested in making it more decorative, I did collage here. So you'll see I have, you can see the wrapping paper peeking out right here. This is pages from one of my favorite magazines, Flow. There's some stickers here. There's some ephemera. This is part of an illustration off a book jacket for a kid's book. There's all kinds of stuff here. This is more of that page from Flow that I cut out. So there's all kinds of stuff, and I was really careful to make sure I put extra paper across the spine. You'll see that it's cracking a little bit here after use, and so probably I will go back eventually, and I'm not going to do it until this journal's pretty much done, but I'll go back and put one more decorative element across here. And then I did 2 good layers of Mod Podge on the top. I let it dry in between each, but those 2 layers of Mod Podge, this is a really nice sturdy cover. It's nice and thick. It's several layers of paper thick now, and it's really sturdy. So this is not going anywhere. And this is actually just where some paper was seamed together. So once I cover that again and do a little Mod Podge at the end, that'll never show and it'll be totally fine. Another thing that I do to make sure that this cover is nice and secure is that when I'm putting that layer of wrapping paper down, I make sure that about 1/2 inch or so wraps around and is glued on the inside of the cover, front and back. That way, it's helping to protect the edge a little bit. And then I take another sheet of paper, wrapping paper, it could be contrasting paper or something, and put it all the way across this kind of 2-page spread. You could leave it the way it is, you could decorate it, whatever you want to do, but that just makes this really nice and secure on the inside. And here you'll see that I've decorated this and treated it essentially like any other page in the book. And then you are ready to get to work. And I have the 2 samples that I was working on done so that you can see. This is the one covered with the map of Rome, and I've added a bunch of photographs and ephemera and all kinds of stuff. And then I Mod Podged it. It's nice and thick now. The inside is a contrasting paper because I didn't have enough of that map. But it is all ready to go and ready to be used. And here's the small one that I did too. This has this beautiful, it's a cotton paper on the covers and the inside covers, and this one is also just ready to go. It's nice and little. This is just one catalog and it's a small one, but I thought it would make a nice, maybe a travel journal or something like that. So that one is pretty and ready to go as well. Thanks for joining me today for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Tag me on your Instagram posts at midmodernmama if you end up making one of these art journals. I'd love to check out your work. Happy creating. Have a great day.